to give us your presentation. And I thank you very much, for being so conscientious before you leave, that you make this presentation and have a shorter time to work. So I said, let me thank you and invite you to give
and please raise your voices, huh? So we can hear.
Hello everyone, I am Meilan. Now this time we will briefly talk about the international trade and the renewable energy transportation in Morocco.
Okay, so let's start with the geographic knowledge of this country. So lying on the edge of Western Sahara, Morocco was born on the shortage of traditional energy, including gas, petrol, and coal, which equals to great disadvantage of industrial development. Furthermore, as an emerging developing country, increasing population in Morocco means the increasing demand of the renewable energy for daily lives. Therefore, this unfortunate country badly requires energy import every day. And also, they lose the position of price taker and the bargaining power. So Morocco sometimes confront with one unreasonably higher quality means greater cost in daily production. Also, the construction of green energy infrastructure is very expensive, which also contributes to the insufficient domestic investment on the green energy industry, followed by the lack of the policy support and the technological support. These all contributes to the stagnant transition to a renewable power. As a result, we can see that there is one further restriction on economic growth, and further they will reduce the domestic investment on green energy industry if there is no any external support of developed country. So I think this loop is very important to the problem statement. So correspondingly, as for the solution statement, we also need to pay attention to the loop to facilitate the rotation for the overall global economic growth for Morocco. So we can see that once the scale is large enough to start projects with sufficient investment, the average price of energy will drop due to the reducing reliance on energy import. So that will benefit the further economic growth, and finally, there will be a very good spiral loop for the overall green energy solution. So I think the critical point is the external support from developed countries. So let's come to the background some background message from Morocco. So as for the general picture about the energy imports, let's see these three charts. They represent the overall import of gas, oil, and coal. From them, we can see that I think the import structure is inappropriate in Morocco. For example, the crude oil. So it's very surprised to see that the biggest exporter of oil to Morocco is Spain. Yeah, that is very surprising. Very surprising fact, because as we know that for example, UAE, Qatar, or the US are the main exporter in the world. However, the Spain accounts for the largest proportion in the crude oil imports in Morocco. So also we can see that when we come to the coal, for example, we can see that Morocco didn't have any business with biggest country, for example, Brazil, Australia. So I think the inappropriate import structure will make Morocco be very sensitive to the international price of energy. As for the demand of energy and requirement investment, let's begin with a very simple simulation. So this graph displays the historical data of energy power consumption per capita in Morocco. So based on it, I calculated the average growth of the power consumption per capita increases 3.6% annually. So we need more information about the calculation. So according to the data of population, we assume that annual population growth rate is 1.8% per year. So also I assume that at least one fifth of the energy production should be carried by green energy. Finally, given the population growth rate, it is possible to make one investment plan for Moroccan government. If we start from the year 2024, the amount investment required is this number. So we can see that each year the amount of investment will increase year by year. So we can see that the amount of increase is just below the growth rate of Moroccan GDP, and even it is much higher than the defense expenditure in Morocco. So I think it must be a great burden for the Morocco if they want to develop the green energy industry. So as you know, French is one of the primary languages in Morocco. So the government reformed the department to show their attention to the development of green energy. Also, the integration of national grid began with neighborhoods in Africa. Europe. In Africa, they mainly cooperate with Algeria. In Europe, they mainly cooperate with Spain and Portugal. Of course, financial support follow up, but the government tend to enact policies by themselves. The principle of inclusiveness here was violated, and the public cannot read the outline of their plan. That is the very initial stage of the Morocco for their development in green renewable energy. However, anyway, they get to work. I think that is a good start here. So let's see the stakeholders and roles of them in policy implement. So you can see that right-hand side lists the duties of the main party to show their attention to the development of renewable energy. Government isn't only in charge of the policy making and infrastructure construction, and they also provide the platform for business cooperation, no matter the firms are state-owned or private. So that is the critical part of this slide. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a short break. With a quick summary, the most critical for Morocco is to acquire the external support of development country. Next, I will briefly talk about some case of this issue. In 2012, Germany declared the cooperation relationship with Morocco called PAREMA. In English, it means German-Morocco Energy Partnership. In 2021, Morocco and EU formed the partnership in 2021. In the project, Morocco won a direct investment of 12 million euro and 20 million more is on the way.
Also, Morocco never gave up any attempts of other fields in renewable energy. So, for example, this year, one Moroccan private company signed a project with a big Chinese energy group which aims to develop hydrogen power. So, as we know, Japan is in the field is the leader right now. In order to catch up, China also seeks for any chances of international cooperations. On the other hand, as the main producer of ammonia, ammonia is the well-known agricultural fertilizer. Yeah, so Morocco actually has a great source to produce the hydrogen. Therefore, I think we can say that trade makes miracle. So. This promising project, right? So in the future, will generate 320,000 tons of hydrogen. So you may have no idea about the huge number, right? So we can utilize one example. Let me explain that. So 6 kilograms of the hydrogen fuel can push a bus 300 kilometers away. So you can imagine the project can be very lucrative for Morocco, and even Morocco is possible to become a main hydrogen exporter in the world, right? So generally, the policy initially was very effective, but the consequence was hard to maintain because the transition was just on the beginning stage, and the proportion of electricity generated by the renewable energy is too low to reduce the reliance of the energy import and energy price. So we know just 2004, the price of crude oil experienced a huge volatility, and the status of the Moroccan economy became worse. Of course, Moroccan government didn't just sit down and wait and hope for the best. They realized they need to do something to rotate the loop we just mentioned, the loop to rotate the loop once again. So that is the background for their response. MES standing for National Energy Strategy. So on this stage, they increase the investment, subsidies, and other debts to support the infrastructure construction of green energy system. Also, they released more details and increased the transparency about the project and disclosed their version. Apart from the increase in energy saving, the government set the goal that before 230, at least 52% of the energy production will come from the renewable resource. Moreover, however, unfortunately, this time the government didn't learn a lesson well from the principle of inclusiveness. Moreover, the lack of coordination between these two departments is also the main reason that the strategy failed to fulfill the potential to boost the energy transition. As we can see that this office sets domestic oil policy. However, this one is in charge of the counterpart of elasticity. So sometimes the cooperation might be potential problem for the building of green energy infrastructure. So following, so I think following the development of the energy policy in Morocco, I personally have the list of advice for the Moroccan government. So I think most of them will be straightforward for you. So I plan to talk about some of them. You can see the option in bold here, transportation and popularization among cities to expand the usage scenarios. For example, I looked up the usage of EV scooter, the bicycle, one of the electronic bicycle. In Morocco, find it actually a blue sea market. That is a blue sea market waiting for more development in the issue of solar power. If they are charged, they utilize the solar power. So I think
What is blue sea market?
blue sea,
Sea.
blue sea market. That is opponent with the red sea market, blue sea market. Blue sea market means the market is underdeveloped, is waiting for further development. Yeah, thank you. Where am I? So if such EV is popularized, the domestic demand for the renewable energy must increase. So I think that will be helpful to rotate the loop, as we mentioned before. Also, I consider more options for the diversity of the green energy. There could be also the good way to expand the usage of renewable energy in Morocco. So I think two of them, however, are not so good at least right now. So let's see the first. So the first is tidal wave. As you know, Morocco has a long coastal line in about 1,700 kilometers. And there is an investigation to assess the potential good spots to develop the source. I mean, this paper. So, however, the procurement required for the infrastructure building is very costly, which violates the affordability. And also, it's possible to damage the local fishery, which also violates the social acceptability. So, I mean that if Moroccan government develop the tidal wave source, they will attract some disagreement from fishermen. So fishery is one main part of Moroccan economy due to the wealthy source of fishing. So that is induced by the well-known sea current called Canary Current. So that introduced my second thoughts of the another option called the marine current power. So right now, only Japan, Canada, and Britain have developed the technology in that. For example, IHI of Japan, that is the world-class heavy industry company. It has a lab which locates in Kagoshima. Although the sea current can generate tons of power, and there is no any commercial usage in the market. So perhaps Morocco can keep eyesight for the development process. So now,
How come it's not used? Could you tell us a bit about why it's not
Why
used?
don't they use it?
there is no commercial usage, and the technology is still under the further development. So it's not suitable for Morocco, but Moroccan government can keep the eyesight on such issue for the future. So right now, green energy resources just accounts for about 37% of the total capacity. Although it's a great leap, the vision of 2020 still fails to be fulfilled. Main challenges still exist and company with current achievement. So that is the Morocco's vision about 250. So I think it is a pretty far away to go. So now green energy is I think looking through the history from 1995 to 2015, we can see that electricity production from traditional fuels gradually drops from 95 in 1995, gradually drops to the about 80 in 2015. So
Why?
I think the effort
Why?
because of the commitment of the Moroccan government during the policy, they never stop investing they never stop investing.
In green energy.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, so they due to their commitment and strong will to support the transition. Yeah. So I think the effort of government really works. Yeah, doesn't it?
Nicola, before you go further, do you have some idea what are these steps? Yeah,
Why there are
you
these
have
steps?
a tip, 2000. Then
You mean this one?
no, the tip, this one, in front of you. There's a drop. No, yeah, this one. Why? And also previous one. What makes the drop?
Yeah. So just now I mentioned there is a huge price volatility after 2004. So in the beginning stage, the Moroccan government developed the transition of green energy to reduce the reliance of international market of fuels. However, the proportion is too low to get rid of the negative effect of the price. So if the price volatility is extremely high, the Morocco could not entirely get rid of it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
5 more minutes.
Yeah. So that's the concluding remarks.
Okay, but to conclude, energy transition is never an easy job and impossible to be finished in short time. It keeps taking many factors such as strong commitment, persistence, more investment, technology, smart policies, and so on. Even we need to guarantee the effective usage of such electricity. So keep careful with every detail and keep aware of every risk. SDGs are meaningful but also hard to achieve.
Yeah. So I think that concludes my demonstration. Thank you so much.
Well, let us give them a good hand. Very good. And thank you for choosing Morocco because it's a very interesting upcoming country in North Africa, or maybe not North Africa, a little bit southwest, I think. I got mine. So before you sit down, why don't you two stay up there and have a seat? And I'd like to open the floor for questions and comments. Have a seat. So any question or comment? I see a hands up, 2 hands up. Okay, let's do the first round. 2 questions. You first.
No, okay, so can you please skip, I have like 2 questions. So first of all, can you please skip to the part where you have your suggestions to the government? Okay, so first of all, the incentive, more subsidies and the reduction of tax well, from your presentation, you said that Morocco is a poor country. And then how does a poor country give out more subsidies and reduces tax?
So we can see that So we can see the problem statement about here. So we know that in sufficient, not enough domestic investment will finally restrict the economic growth. However, if you want to invest more by some even by some financial leverage, right? So they have some great power to rotate the circle.
Can you give an example of great power? The great power you mentioned.
So you can utilize the financial leverage from World Bank. You
Okay.
can So other development bank, for example, for example, Asian Development Bank and other institutes. Yeah. So that is why I emphasize that you need to resort to the external support from the development countries. They could offer you.
Sorry, you on. I apologize.
Hmm?
I told him to go on. I interrupted him. Sorry, you can go on.
Can I add just one thing? All countries subsidize energy in one way or another. Even the poorest of the poor, countries like Egypt, like Nigeria, like Tanzania, everybody subsidizes energy in different forms. So it's either in electricity or in gasoline. When you buy your gasoline at the station, you don't pay the full price. So subsidy is an instrument that a lot of countries use to subsidize energy because the people are poor. If you remove the subsidy, the price of the energy will go up, and you might have a revolution.
Well, we saw that even in France.
And in Egypt and in other countries, it's something that is very common. Now, how much subsidy and can they afford it or not, that is a political decision. So if a country thinks that subsidizing just 10% is enough, okay, others 50%, others so. That it has to be a political decision internally.
Yeah, I would suggest that in terms of, I think one thing can be factored in is actually the growth, increase of GDP per
Yeah.
capita. So you could see that, that is the economic growth has translated into.
It's a virtuous circle. Yes.
Yeah, virtuous circle. That would be first data point that you can look at or can bring it in.
Yeah.
The second one is actually the so-called FDI, the foreign direct investment, in addition to ODA, the lending. So there are some indicators you can use to see the country has actually moved in terms of their financial capabilities, the power of the country. Because when the foreign, and also the destination, if you're interested in this topic, you can look at the database of the World Investment Report year, which is giving you a very good estimate in terms of the potential of the country. So, if it's okay, yeah, I have a second question here.
Okay, so I have two questions. Now, first one is, have you looked up any other countries that they are using hydrogenic energy that cause a good effect?
Sorry, I could only focus on Morocco cases.
Can you please stand up and shout?
So I'm asking him about the hydrogenic energy they are using in other countries have causing any good effect.
Yeah, so I only focused on Moroccan cases, so I'm so sorry I could not answer such question.
Okay, now thank you. Now the second question is page 14. It's just a little question that what's the orange proportion in the ring?
Orange?
Orange proportion.
Yeah, this part.
Oh yes. That is wrong. Yeah.
Wrong.
And the authors make mistakes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I know some of you may realize that. So it represents actually the wind.
Oh, the wing. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
authors
The
made
wind power.
the authors made a mistake.
Thank you.
Okay, I have before we go to the second round of questions, I suggest, I know that you have also did some of your own calculation. I suggest you give a source. That would be a good practice. Always give a source where it comes from, and if it is your own calculation, you can say author's own calculation. Okay, so that will be sort of just a courtesy for other researchers. Other questions? Yes. Yuki.
So I would like you to turn to the last few pages where you show the data of oil, gas, and coal sources. Also about the site sources problem, like where did you get this data? Because according to my research from the World Bank, it shows that the trend looks like
Is this the one? you're
this
talking
is
about?
the chart from the World Bank. It's pretty much different from the chart given in this presentation.
You mean this one?
Yes.
Mhm.
So there's actually a rising from 2013 to 2014 according to the chart given by the World Bank. So I believe that there's a mistake or so I would like to ask, where did you get this data from?
So your data is from here, right? Is this?
It's from 1972 to 2014, and there's a rise from 2013 to 2014.
Okay.
Statistics of confidence.
Where is the is this drop 2008?
It's here, the drop is, 8 is here, and the 10 is here.
Uh-huh.
Here, of course, there's a major economic crisis.
And there's actually a rising, and there's actually a rising part. So, or you can just tell us the source, and I'll check if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So this source is coming from statistics.com.
State.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I just want to utilize this picture to show that general trend, the reliance on oil, gas, and coal to produce the electricity is generally decreasing.
Yeah.
I just want to say
So
that.
that's just one message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And
But
you
it would be
said-
worthwhile to double check because you can see.
I'll do that.
Just one thing. So while it's decreasing, what is it compensated with? Because the consumption is going up. So if oil and gas is dropping off, where is the
Substituted by what?
electricity coming from?
By wood or by water or by what is?
Renewable?
I don't know.
Mm.
That's a question. What is the? Wasn't that the three rings? If you go beyond 2009, you could see maybe there's substitution by other resources.
Yes, although they can benefit from, for example, the price drop of traditional fuels. However, I think Moroccan government treated the green energy transition as the national policy, which needs focus to a very long year. So they never stop. The investing, and so that is but combining with the price volatility of the international fields, so there will be.
Nicola, you'll find that I like the interpretation you gave. Also good that you could comment on the drop. There must be some import of electricity to compensate for the drop-off of fuel gas produced electricity. Maybe it's from Spain.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
be suggesting Spain. From somewhere they import electricity, but I don't know from where.
Just like they import.
Yeah, so to drop
gas
in the
and oil
domestic
from Spain.
production of electricity, substitute by imported, and therefore the use of the primary material drops. That would be one explanation. Yeah. But if you know, just maybe this is something that you can improve on by having.
Can't hear you.
I said this is one area that can be further clarified and improve on your presentation. Okay, I don't think we can resolve it here now. But
There's
just
one more thing to add, which is beyond your analysis. Between Morocco and Algeria, they have conflicts. They even have, every so often they shoot, they have a border conflict. So Algeria has plenty of energy, but it doesn't sell into Morocco. It sells up to Spain, and Spain sells it down
that's
to
why it's
Morocco.
importing from Spain.
So
Yes.
Spain is making a commission.
Yes. So in common knowledge, may I say something? So in common knowledge, Spain is of course impossible to be the main export.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So why? So there is some somehow transition in as the role of the Spain. Yeah. So for example, even if they did not do something about the transition, they may rely on, for example, crude oil refinement. Yes, and while Morocco badly demands it. So I think so as I said before, that the import structure is inappropriate, which makes some chances to benefit for these countries which are not main exporters.
Okay, any other questions? or
Other
comments?
questions?
Yeah, I have like a few more. So, can you please turn back to your stakeholders page?
Sorry.
Your
Stakeholders.
stakeholder page. So I have a few questions. So first of all, why is the government Department of Initial Trade blank for each category?
Yeah. So they may be plus here. Sorry. Maybe they made some mistake to mislead.
So it's a plus, right?
Plus.
Okay,
Sure.
so yeah, I guess I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have some questions or comments or
Yeah,
suggestions?
one more.
One more.
Can you turn to page 14? So you talk about the stimulation was partly effective. So what do you mean by the word partly? What's the barrier that caused a partly effective phenomenon to happen? 14.
Sorry.
In the middle part of the paragraph, you talk about stimulation was partly effective according to your assessment.
You mean this one?
And I was wondering what's the barrier that caused partly effective phenomenon to happen.
Why it's only partly effective? He wants to know the criteria.
So as I mentioned before, the principle of inclusiveness was violated once again. Also, the government and the internal departments of government had some problem of cooperation. Yeah, cooperation. That is the critical two parts that the strategy failed to fulfill its all potential to
And
boost.
the one that failed is this one, right?
Yeah. Also, in 2020, their target is to set to 42%. However, in 2020 actually it's just 37%. So it failed.
So your comment here says partially effective is about this.
Yes.
And could you go back again to the stakeholder analysis? One thing I thought is interesting, you highlight that the Ministry of Finance, or Department of Finance, is against the concept of moving into renewable energy. What is it based on?
So once the government give the order, so you need to support the transition of the green energy transition. You need to ask the Department of Finance for more and more money. So the officer, I think you can imagine that officers of the financial department will not be happy to put out their money to support the construction.
Unless they increase their income sufficiently.
Yeah. Also, it's worth to mention that the political transparency index in Morocco is always low.
Okay.
Is always low.
So why don't you add this information about the transparency? Second is look at the budget. If you don't have time to look at the budget, the allocation from the government side, how much increase in terms of the budget to finance this transition?
I once thought about that, but I worry about because of the low transparency index. So I'm not so sure whether they are.
You'll be surprised. You find it in the World Bank.
Oh.
Or IMF.
Oh, okay.
Many places.
Transparency International.
Huh?
Transparency International.
Well, yeah, but they're looking at the budget for the energy sector.
You will never find.
Yeah, I know, but that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I worry that their official data will not be so reliable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can always say, for reference only.
Okay.
So, any other comments from Xiaoming? You have Professor Tsai, you have comments on this presentation? No, okay. Any other questions? Well, if not, we expect that you make some modification, adding some more information, and then send us your final report.
All right. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I also like your stakeholder preferences.
Thank you. I'm not so satisfied that.
Okay.
I think you missed one.
And we'll have a short break and then.
No, I think we should give people the time to work.
Yeah. Okay, so today the formal part will end here, and we'll see you tomorrow. And you have enough material, and now you have sort of a demonstration case analysis done by Nicola and Meilan. So you could look at the template that we talked about, and then refine yours, and we look forward to hearing them tomorrow. Okay? So.
也不用换，不用换。 而且我带起来很松丢。
欧洲的信用，欧洲的银行很炫，他们中国的银行，是不是跟亚洲通？
所以我要知道他怎么念。
我会觉得很怪，会。谁会去问那这么老师要报告？对啊。
还好吧。
还好，我觉得他应该不会。反正那边没收过。
然后他们没出来。
对啊，自己帮他更新。
Yeah, thanks.